Liz here, coming to with another video. Now this video is kind of a bit of a trip down memory lane, kind of figure skating wise. So I'm not sure how many of you viewers out there are figure skating fans as well, but I've been a figure skating fan going back to when I was really little. And given that it's the Olympics right now, the Winter Olympics, I thought I'd just do a little trip down memory lane via a couple of skating books. So the one book I have here is Figure Skating: A Celebration. So the king of figure skating, Elvis Stojko, is on the cover. And yeah, I first saw Elvis skate live when I was in grade 4. It was my birthday gift for my 10th birthday. My parents and I went to see the Campbell Soup Tour of Champions in Buffalo, and I was like so excited. Yeah, and we ended up staying in the hotel and also watching the skating show live. It also had Oksana Baiul in the same show. So yeah, so this book, this came out, I want to say in 98. Sorry, no, this one's older. This one's actually 1984. My bad. Yeah, so this has a lot of great skating stars in this book. So one thing too, it's got the foreword by Elvis Stojko. So I'm going to read a little bit of this for you. So it says here, foreword by Elvis Stojko, men's world champion 1994. Skating isn't just a job, it's a way of life. You train for months, giving 100% per day for a competition that will be over in a matter of minutes. You skate through fatigue, injuries, and sometimes disappointment, not because you have to skate, but because you love to skate. Now, I feel like all of us out there, you know, we keep doing something because we love it. And because we have a passion for it, just like Elvis said right here in this foreword. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's definitely a great foreword and that kind of thing. And I remember too, I actually did my speech, one of my speeches in elementary school. I did it on figure skating. I want to say it was maybe my grade 5 or 6 speech, or maybe grade 8. But anyways, one of the elementary school speeches. I don't know if you remember back in the day doing speeches in elementary school. And here's a great photo of Oksana Baiul when she did the Swan, the Black Swan performance in 94. She also did a version of the routine where she wore like a white costume like that too. There was like the White Swan. But yeah, that was a beautiful performance. And there's also a bit of a write-up in this book about the controversy and the whole thing with Nancy Kerrigan and Tonya Harding. I'm not sure how many of you out there remember when that happened. And let me see what else, some other great picks. So in this book, actually, there's some of the history of figure skating as well, not just write-ups about the stars of figure skating, but there's some older write-ups, even like stuff referring back to like in the early 1900s, like 1902, 1906, and things like that. And there's Sonia Henney. So she was a figure skater who skated in the 40s and 50s and that kind of thing, and she died in 1984. This costume actually really reminds me of a costume that Oksana Baiul wore in more recent years. So yeah, definitely some of the skating costumes from like from way back resemble some of the newer style skating costumes too. And there's also, write-ups about, there's also things in here about Dick Button, who was a Canadian figure skater. And here's actually a picture of Gustav Lussi, who was a Swiss-born figure skater. And yeah, so there's a bunch of like older historical things in figure skating. And then as you get more into the book, there's also other There's from backyard rink to Olympic podium and beyond. And, you know, there's also some more recent pictures about, you know, that they're showing some more recent figure skaters. There's Katarina Witt. I loved her skating too. She competed in the Sarajevo Olympics and the Calgary Olympics. And there's Nancy Kerrigan. She was always so graceful when she skated. And definitely, too, another thing that's had a lot of changes to it is the judging to skating. There's been a lot of controversy with the judging, and some of the skaters had thought they weren't really graded accurately, and they had to change the judging system recently. And sometimes there needs to be changes to move forward. Here's another skating couple, which I absolutely loved. Isabelle Brosseur and Lloyd Eisler. So I don't know if any of you guys out there have seen the movie called The Cutting Edge, but these two were honestly like real life cutting edge, so to speak, because Lloyd Eisler previously was a hockey player and Isabelle Brosseur was a figure skater, and then they came together and they made beautiful figure skating. And of course, Lloyd Eisler became, you know, he no longer skated hockey. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of fun. It's just kind of cool because they really had to do that transition in real life. And one of their most beautiful routines they did was the routine they did to Tears in Heaven. And yeah, that was I love that routine. There's so many amazing routines they did too. They did a lot of like rock music and a lot of other types of genres, and they were just awesome. And so here's Katerina Gordieva and Sergei Grinkov. They were beautiful together, and unfortunately, Sergei Grinkov, he died way too soon. He died of a heart attack. I think he was only in his maybe mid to late 30s. And yeah, so unfortunately, though, their daughter, Daria, she was only like maybe 4 years old when her dad died, 3 or 4. And so she barely got to know her dad. But of course, he lives on in their skating and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, but I mean, it was really tragic, but they were amazing together. Trying to see some other great ones here. Oh, here's Barbara Underhill and Paul Martini. I've seen them live before as well when I saw them at Stars on Ice. They were another great Canadian skating team. And here's another beautiful picture of Katerina Gordieva and Sergei Grinkov. And there's some of Isabelle Brosseur and Lloyd Eisler. So as well, I don't know if you guys ever remember seeing Shaylin Bourne and Victor Kratz skate, but they were amazing as well. They were ice dancers, and they did a routine to river dance, and they did hydroplaning on the ice, and they also did a lot of movements that were very similar to like Irish dancing and Highland dancing and whatnot. And they just skated so well together. And more recently, Shaylin Bourne is now a choreographer, and so she's still in the skating world, but just not actually skating now. And another one of my favorite skaters would be Scott Hamilton, and he has braved so much in his life. He has fought and won with cancer, and he also is an amazing jumper. He does great backflips, and one of my favorite routines by him was the routine that he did, the hair routine, and he put on a wig, and he was wearing like this vest, and it was just amazing. I love that routine. And here is Brian Orser. Kind of funny story. So one of the skating shows I went to, Stars on Ice, I think it was in 98 maybe, but I'd gone to that show with my parents, and we were at the show in Hamilton. At the time, it was called Copps Coliseum. I still call it Copps Coliseum, even though the name changed. But anyways, Brian Orser's friends were sitting in front of us, and we just kind of heard some funny things, you know, their conversation, and they're just like so excited, and they kept mentioning about how, you know, how they were there, and, you know, they knew him and everything. And another one of my favorite skaters would be Brian Boitano. He's kind of graceful, where, maybe Elvis and maybe Stephen Cousins have more of an edge to them, or also do other kind of music genres and stuff, and maybe get you moving or more excited, and that kind of thing. But both Brian Boitano and also Kurt Browning, they have amazing footwork. And I also find that Kurt Browning has a lot of comedic performing when it comes to his routines. And you can honestly see that here, right, with the Charlie Brown routine he was doing there. And he does a lot of footwork, and he's just overall an amazing skater. Just recently, he retired from actually performing in the Stars on Ice shows, and now he's still doing choreography, but he's not actually skating anymore. Now, as well, Victor Petrenko, I really enjoyed his skating too. He was a Ukrainian skater, and he was actually coached by the same coach as Oksana Bayul. And I remember too watching the show on TV, Too Hot to Skate, and he did some awesome routines in that as well. And of course, here's the king himself, Elvis Stojko. I love his skating. And actually, funny story here. So at one point, being a longtime fan of Elvis Stojko, I had gone to a celebrity car wash in my local town where I live, and I had actually met him, and I brought my own skating program to sign for him, and I also brought like 2 or 3 programs with me, and I was super excited to meet him. My heart was beating a million beats a minute. I was like so excited. And then, eventually, he also trained for martial arts in the town where I live. And I eventually started serving him at Domino's Pizza and seeing him at Sam's Discount Store, which is, of course, no longer open anymore. But I would see him when I'd be going to get a drink before work, or, a popsicle when it was boiling hot. And I would also see him when I was at Milton Fish and Chips. Eventually I would see him so often and just serve him at pizza and that it was eventually like, oh, hey, how's it going, Elvis? Long time, how you doing, But yeah, it's just kind of funny how that works sometimes, where, you don't expect things to happen like that and things to change like that. But, it seemed like so that it wasn't so nerve-wracking when I saw him anymore, because of the fact that I just saw him so often. And so Elvis as well, he is one skater that would often wear like jeans when he skated, or he'd wear like leather and stuff like that. And he also, as I said, he did martial arts, and he took that on to strengthen his skating and also to get another side of his skating. And so it wasn't necessarily, a lot of skaters would just do ballet or that kind of thing to help their skating, but Elvis did martial arts, and he also does dirt biking, and he's just an all-around great skater. Now, this is another skater that I really enjoy. I actually saw Philippe Candeloro live at, I saw him at the Elvis Circuit Tour Champions, and I also saw him at the Campbell Soup Tour Champions, and he is a figure skater from France, but as you can see, he also liked the U.S. and that kind of thing, and he was wearing the American flag in his costume here. And with ice dancing, there's a lot of great ice dance teams. Definitely there's been some changes to that now lately, where there's more skill and more lifts and everything than there used to be. And another great ice dance team that everyone has probably seen a few times is Jane Turville and Christopher Dean. I also saw them live at least once, and they were pretty good. And I don't know if any of you out there watching remember as well the kind of controversy where, with the Russian Paris team and Jamie Sullivan and David Pelletier, how they ended up giving gold to both Paris teams. But that was really historic and crazy, but it was amazing when it happened. And that was, I think, the only time they ever had 2 gold medalists at an Olympics. And there is Shailene Bourne and Victor Kratz that I was just mentioning to you before. And there's Tonya Harding. So many of you might have only been introduced to her in the movie about her, but I remember watching her for years, and she was always a great technical jumper and stuff. Another great American figure skater is Kristi Yamaguchi. She's also very creative and has great footwork, but is also elegant and likes to have fun with her routines as well. And here's Liz Manley. She competed in the 88 Calgary Olympics, and she is Canadian. And Midori Ito is so graceful, and I love how creative she is and all the different things she did when she went pro. And Saria Bonali, she's from France, and she always did a lot of backflips, and she was very technical and a great jumper. Love this costume that she was wearing here. And yeah, so I'm going to show you now some of the other book that I was showing you before. So this one here is A Year in Figure Skating. So no, this one here, it actually came out. So the other one was from 94. This one is from 96. So yeah, this is Rudy Galindo. He's an American figure skater. He always had such a big flair to him with his routines. Michelle Kwan, she was always really graceful, and always had great footwork and amazing spins. Love her as well. And here's Tara Lipinski. So at the time when she won her medal in the 98 Nagano Olympics, she was the youngest skater to medal in the Olympics. And yeah, and then eventually she went into acting as well, and she now commentates, and she'd actually done some scenes in stars in The Young and the Restless. José Chouinard, she's another one of my favorite skaters. She's a Canadian figure skater. I saw her skate live in the Elvis Stoiko Tour Champions and in Stars on Ice. And here is the king himself, Elvis Stoiko. So you know they say Elvis Presley is the king of rock and roll? Well, Elvis Stoiko is the king of figure skating. And here's Jenny Mino and Todd Sand. They are an American figure skating pairs team. Love them as well. And Mandy Witzel and Ingo Sawyer, they're another pairs team. I loved watching them skate too. They were always so beautiful together. So let me know in the comments as well if you enjoy watching figure skating as well. And if you have a favorite event to watch, or if you have a favorite figure skater of yours. Yeah, I mean, and here's some great shots here of Victor Petrenko, Oksana Bayul, and Yuka Sato. That's another great shot of Kristi Yamaguchi. She's always so beautiful when she skated. Here's a picture of that routine that I was talking about with Scott Hamilton. This routine was always so amazing. He did it so many times. I remember he did it during the Not Too Hot to Skate. He did it, I think, also during Stars on Ice, and he did it at a few other exhibition skating events. Love it. Now here's Denise Beelman. So this spin is actually named after, there's a spin actually named after, which is the Beelman spin. And that is really cool, honestly, and very iconic that she got that named after her. So here's Kurt Browning and Brian Boitano. And I'm sure many of you know, though, as well, that a lot of the times in the competitive figure skating, it's usually Russia or China that's on top. But when Canada or the U.S. gets to the top of the standings, it's amazing, especially when, you know, the train is a little bit different between the countries. And another skater that I've often enjoyed was Irina Slutskaya. She has so many great costumes in that she'd wear too. Now, Maria Butyrskaya, that's another skater that I saw live. She's a Russian figure skater. She's always so graceful. And another thing, though, too, is she's a lot more tall than a lot of the figure skaters are. But she's nonetheless just as talented and amazing with her jumps and everything. That's an awesome costume that Elvis wore there, too. And yeah, so there's a few other great photos in this book too, but honestly, let me know in the comments as well if you want me to do another video showing you some of my favorite skaters or showing you any other books that I have at home. Here's Ilya Kulik as well. He was another amazing skater too. He did a lot of great quads and that kind of thing. He was a big jumper. Yeah. And so even though I've never been able to skate well myself, I've always admired and enjoyed watching others skate live. So in the Winter Olympics, skating is always one of my favorite events to watch. Yeah, figure skating of all types, whether it be ice dancing, pair skating, or maybe also ladies singles, men's singles. They're always my favorites to watch in the Winter Olympics. And then in the Summer Olympics, I'd probably say my favorite to watch would either be gymnastics or swimming. And yeah, let me know in the comments as well if you're watching the Olympics and if what you're rooting for, what sport you're watching the most, and what you follow. If you play any sports as well, let me know that too. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care. Bye, guys.